I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the City of San Angelo Development Corporation April meeting. Before we get started, I would like to ask Mr. John Barrio to lead us in a word of prayer.
If you would bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to live in this fine city of San Angelo. Despite its problems, we know that you know of them. We ask that prosperity be showered on this land. We ask that rain be showered on this land. And right now we ask that you focus our minds to be good stewards of the funds that the good citizens of San Angelo gather in the half-cent sales tax, that we will consider its expenditures wisely. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, John. All right. Go ahead and open the floor for public comment. The board takes public comment on all items on a regular agenda. Regular input on a regular agenda item will be taken its appropriate discussion. Public input on item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the board at this time. Is there no public comment? All right. We will move to our consent agenda. And we have consideration of approving the March 26, 2014 regular meeting minutes and the March 12, 2014 board workshop meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look those over?
I'll make the motion that we approve.
Motion by Mr. Barrio to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hebert. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consideration of adopting a resolution amending designated meeting dates. And that is related to our monthly meeting. Correct? All right. I'm definitely good with it.
I'll make the motion that we approve
Discussions?
that as well.
All right. Mr. Barrio made the motion. Mr. Barrio made the second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda items. Consideration of approving necessary corporation disbursements and authorizing the designated board members to sign related corporation checks. Presentation by Mr. Pena. Did everybody get the amended list?
Yes.
Board members, I really don't have a presentation. I put some backup material there for one of the items. That's the economic impact analysis that we talked about during the board workshop as a tool that the Costa DC, I felt that the Costa DC board needs, staff needs, as we continue to work with projects. If you've had time to review those materials, it's an excellent tool. It's one that other economic development organizations use as a best management practice. It provides an economic impact for the community, also for taxing entities, and more importantly, it does have the flexibility to allow you some what-if scenarios. So if we're working with a prospect, we can certainly determine when that payback is going to be and determine what kind of incentive we want to provide. Other than that, I just wanted to highlight that. We have the staff has the authority to make that purchase, but I didn't want that to be just a simple approval. I wanted you to be aware of what that item is because of the cost of that item.
And is that an annual license or is that a one-time fee?
That is correct. It's an annual license. It may or may not be in the information that I provided to you, but if we chose to not do the license, but to seek that technical assistance from a vendor like that or a consultant, then that one-time analysis would cost anywhere between $900, $1,200. So if we are working projects and can do several what-if analysis, it really, in essence, pays for itself.
Pays for itself.
Yes.
Okay.
So if they update, is there, the license then allows us to receive updates?
Yes, sir.
Without any charge? Or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in fact, they do all the analysis, providing all the multipliers, all the inputs into the model, and they're available for a 24-hour technical assistance.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No. Make a motion, we approve.
All right. Motion to approve by Mr.
Second.
Villarreal, second by Mr. Hebert. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Presentation and consideration of approving the March 2014 financial statements and the action there too. Presentation by Ms. Rebecca Tambunga. Good morning.
March financials. On the first page, we have the executive summary. Our unreserved fund balance for the economic development side of $6.1 million. On the ballot side, 2.6 million. Sales tax for the month of March was $652,000. We were up 5%. Year to date, we are in excess of $489,000. On page 2, you'll see a new section, the expenditures by major category. This was a request by the board to have a pie graph that shows the Development Corporation dollars and how they're being spent. On the right side, you can see the blue, which indicates the items that are funded by the Economic Development, and the orange representing the items funded by the ballot. On page 3, we have the balance sheet for the Economic Development side. Our cash and investments of $8 million. We did have a petty cash drawer issued for the Ports to Plain event for $100,000. Our sales tax receivable of $383,000, and our industrial park assets of $1.1 million. On the fund equity designated for economic development projects, we did have an increase, bringing it to $2.2 million. And we'll look at that breakdown on page 5, which brings you to your unreserved fund balance of $6.1 million. On the revenue and expense report for the economic development side, on the revenues, the reimbursements of $1,300, those were sponsorships that were received to help the cost for the Ports to Plain event. And on the expenditures, partner affiliations, that $1,900, majority of that were the cost associated with the Ports to Plain event. Other than that, we just had our routine revenues and expenses. We were revenue over expenditures of $170,000. On page 5 is the breakdown for the economic development projects. As I stated earlier, we did have an increase when the board approved $200,000 to Grand Court residents, bringing our commitment now to $2.2 million.
Now, is that going to stay with, because didn't council strike that? What happened with council on that?
I
Are you aware?
I thought that wasn't gonna fly. Is that correct? I don't remember.
Grand Court?
The Grand Court, yeah.
Do we have, is Bob here? No?
Mike?
I think that item, we're going to have to circle back. We'll ask Bob Salas. I think that item I think they decided not to apply for that item. I'm not sure, but we'll
Okay. We'll take a
circle back.
look at it, and if it needs to be removed, we'll.
Okay.
On the balance sheet for the ballot side, we have our cash and investments of $4.5 million, our sales tax receivable of $987,000, and on the fund equity, that designation for affordable housing of $187,000, our debt service of $2.7 million, bringing us to a fund balance of $2.6 million. On the revenue and expense report for the ballot side, the only item we had was affordable housing closing of $41,000. We were revenue over expenses of $565,000. On page 8 gives you the ballot project breakdown, showing our commitment of that $319,000. The rest of the financials give you that transaction detail by account, as well as those voter-approved projects.
Rebecca, this may be something you have to look at. In the past, we have had projects that we have approved incentives for. I can think of one specifically, My Mail. Does that, again, you may have to do some digging on this, but some of those projects like that they may still be there and they may still be open, but it seems to me if it hadn't had any activity associated with it for a while, a year, 2 years, obviously more than that, maybe we need to look at contacting the recipient of that incentive award and say, what can we expect here? Because that could be money we could pull back in and have for other projects. So that may, again, maybe next meeting, that could be something.
We have done that periodically. My Mill, I think, is one now that we can probably close out, but it wouldn't hurt to get in contact with them first.
Yeah, and there may be some others too. That one just jumped to my mind when I was looking through some of this.
Yeah.
Well, like on the 05 and 07 bonds, I mean, there's a handful of things still sitting out there. I don't know how much longer some of those things need to sit there, or those are expected to be paid. I'm assuming they're expected to be paid out, but.
Anything that's, our objective is to continue to report, continue to maintain anything that has board approval. And so in some of those cases, those are projects which received approval, and I know that finance is working on determining whether or not the project is done, what the money is left over, and at that point they'll begin determining options for the use of those funds. In the case where there's a contract, for example, my mail, there's probably a contract associated with that. We need to determine an appropriate legal ending to that, closure to that relationship. So Tommy's observation and Bob's response are both correct, that we go through this periodically where it's time to relook at some of these old things. Let's determine where we are and what's an appropriate action moving forward.
And it may be 2 meetings from now. That may be June. To me, it's not a hot item that has to be the next month. If it works out to do that, fine. But rather than just keeping those things out there without reviewing them, probably is at least prudent on our part.
Tommy, I agree. What did you find that in the financials, that one particular project that you mentioned? Do we have an amount committed in the financials?
My mail's gone.
My mail is gone. That one was one that had just seemed to me that lingered for a long time out there, and we may have one or two or three others like that. So, no, I did not see that one specifically, Roland.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I was going to mention on the Grand Court residences, if the board recalls, there were actually 2 projects that were identified for that. One was down by the fort, and the other was the Grand Court residences. I think that's probably why this is still on the books, is that other project is still a viable project.
Okay.
But we can double check that and bring it back.
Maybe change the name or something, or amend it or something. Okay. All right. Other questions?
Well, and that would even, I guess, raise the issue too of contract to audit. I know we budgeted money for that. That may help us too with this. So it may be 3 meetings from now. Maybe we need to look at engaging a vendor, going out for RFPs for doing an audit of the contracts, and that may help us then with some of this too. Just a thought.
I was going to mention that in my update. I have reached out to the auditor that is conducting the city audit. But if we need to do an RFP process, I can explore that.
Well, I'll leave that to the folks that know what they're doing. It just, we had budgeted for that. That was even before you got here, Roland. So we have money set aside if we need to do a contract audit specifically, which I think we need to do, but however that happens.
In my initial discussion, we think that it's possible they can do an audit by June or by the end of June. Just so that you know, I haven't finalized that, but that has been my discussion with.
Thanks.
All right. Further questions? All right. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to approve by Mr.
Second.
Barrios, second by Mr. Crisp. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. All right, next item, consideration and possible action of adopting prioritization of goals as set in the March 12th, 2014 meeting. Mr. Roland Pena.
Well, I'm missing that slide. You may recall that after the board work session, the task was for the consultant to put together the feedback and input that she received from the board and the partners. And so I took that information, we followed up with the board, we provided that information to the board members and the partners to solicit more input and feedback and determine if there was any revisions that were needed. And I took that input. You have with you the top copy, which is the final draft. The red line copy basically shows the changes or the inputs that the partners have offered. And with that, it is ready for your adoption unless you have some additional revisions that you would like to make, or if you have any questions. We we have been moving forward on some of these goals. So we haven't been waiting for grass to grow under our feet. We've been moving forward because we felt that we have a lot to do. So
I thought it looked good.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion, we adopt the prioritization goals set forth on.
All right.
And I will second that.
Motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Barrio. Any further discussion? All right, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We appreciate all the work that went into that.
that'll be our roadmap for the next 12 months, and hopefully we can come back and report to you some really good accomplishments and milestones.
We got a good one. That's good. Really, I'm really impressed. All right, next item, presentation of the Ports to Plains Southern Work Group, March 26, 2014, post report. Ms. Nora.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Okay, this morning, what I'd like to do is report to you the Ports of Plains Southern Work Group meeting. The meeting was held March 26th and 27th, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown on this. On March 26th, we had the work group session. The work group discussed and prioritized the strategic plan. We had about 22 in attendance. They discussed, let's see here. Nope, thank you. And then that evening, we had a social event, which was held over at the San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts, and we had about 46 in attendance. We also provided transportation for our delegates from the hotel to the museum. On March 27th, which was our public session with our guest speakers, that was a great turnout. We had about 135 that attended. We had 14 guest speakers. I would like to add that Michael Reeves, Ports of Plains Alliance President, and Tiffany Melvin and Rachel Connell from NASCO, they were great for us. They helped us out in getting these guest speakers for us, so it worked out great for us. Also, the guest speakers range from business and trade opportunities, the Southern Border Master Plan, the energy market, supply chain, and other transportation and energy-related issues. Lunch was also provided that day. That evening, we also had another social event, which was at Sealy Flats, to kind of wrap up the two-day event, and that was a good evening. What I wanted to also let you know who our sponsors are. Our sponsors, platinum sponsors, were the Republic Services, Texas Disposal Systems, Lone Star Trucking Group. Our gold sponsors were Reese Albert and Cisco Equipment. Silver was the San Angelo Association of Realtors, Texas Pacifico, and NASCO Equipment. Also, we had our bronze sponsors, who were Randall Motors and Templeton Construction. I also provided you a financial summary, and if you'll look at that, you'll see here where on our sponsorships we had budgeted $7,155, but currently we have collected $6,606.25. With our open registration, we collected $600 at the door, and online $529, making that a total of $7,735.25. With expenditures, we had expenses that we had for the whole event from the 26th on to the 27th. We spent $6,698.02. So as of right now, we have a balance of $1,037.23. So we still have just a couple of invoices, I believe, that may still be out, but it's all going to be covered from where I can see. So, but I wanted you to know also is that through all this, we have staff that's helped us together, not just us, but we also have Becky Dunn. I know a few of you did attend the event, and the ballroom was decorated, which was decorated by Becky Dunn. She did outstanding. It looked beautiful. So also, can't forget Shane Kelton. Shane Kelton was awesome helping us gather these sponsors for us. He is awesome in helping us do this. So also we had Catherine Carrasco. She admin assistant with facility maintenance, and she helped us out for the 2 days and with registration and all. So we had a total of 111.45 hours spent.
Lots.
It's lots. Takes a lot, but we got it done. Any questions?
I don't have any. All right.
Did you mention cost? Did you mention that? Did I missed that?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
I did.
sorry.
We got him. All right. Thank you, Nora.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you did.
An absolute appreciation for everyone who helped.
Yes, without a doubt. All right, next item, presentation and update of the Hickory Water Supply Project and new water treatment plant. I don't think that's Ricky Dixon.
He got a whole lot more hair than Ricky does.
Kevin Kruger.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Glad to be here this morning to visit with you about our Hickory Water Supply project, and just kind of a quick overview. This big project consists of 6 smaller projects that have been bid out individually, and 3 of those have been completed and 3 are under construction. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about those this morning. The completed projects are the well field piping, the 30-inch transmission main, and the booster pump station and well field pumps. Those projects consist of the pipelines necessary to connect the original 9 wells together, and then the pipeline necessary to transport that water from the well field to San Angelo, and then of course the pumps that are needed, the pumps, the tanks, and things of this nature to help in bringing that water into the city of San Angelo. The 3 projects that still are under construction are the groundwater treatment facility and the well field expansion packages 1 and 2. We'll spend a little bit more time going into detail on the groundwater treatment facility. I think everybody is fairly interested in that one. But that project consists of the facilities to remove the iron and radium from the water and also to disinfect the water. The well field expansion projects consist of the drilling of 6 new wells, and then the equipping of those wells, the pipelines and the roads necessary to bring that water into the city. Now, as I stated, the groundwater treatment facility, this is being constructed here at our water treatment plant. This is located on Avenue K between, Metcalf between Avenue K and around Avenue H and I. So you'll see on the north part of our treatment plant is the disinfection facility, and then on the south side near Avenue K is the groundwater treatment facility. Now, the groundwater treatment facility is a very large building. Its dimensions are about 208 feet by 133 feet. If you drive by there at this time, you'll see that the walls are going up. They're making good progress. Some of the treatment tanks that we'll see in this next slide, some of those tanks have been placed on the pad. Additional tanks are scheduled to arrive at the end of this month, be placed on the pad the 1st of May and into the middle of May. So just kind of a quick overview of what's going to go on inside that treatment facility. We're going to oxidate the iron that's in the water, and we'll introduce air into the water. The water will go through these oxidation tanks. These are the white tanks in the lower left-hand corner of the slide. And then the water proceeds through some sand filters, and those are the white tanks further up on the right-hand side of the slide. From there, and that's where the iron is removed in those sand filters. From there, the water proceeds to the blue tanks, and these are the ion exchange media tanks. and that's where the radium is removed from the water. So it's, in concept, you know, it's a fairly simple process. It's a flow-through process. Once the water goes through the ion exchange tanks, it goes to our clear well for disinfection and then distribution into the city. The well field expansion projects, as I stated, consist of the installation of 6 new wells, and those are the wells that you see with the yellow circles. The wells that are outlined with the blue squares, those are the existing 9 wells, and the wells outlined with the green triangles, those are future potential locations for wells. So the current status for the well field expansion projects, there are 4 drill rigs on site at this time and working on 4 individual wells. 2 of those wells have been, the pilot holes for 2 of those wells have been drilled to total depth, and they are in the process of reaming those holes for the installation of the steel casing. And 2 of the other 2 wells, or the pilot holes, are still being drilled on those. The well field expansion package number 2 contract just recently started. The contractor is in the process of ordering materials and equipment and just mobilizing on site at this time. So that's a quick overview of all of the projects associated with the Hickory. And with that, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Kevin, I have a strange question, or maybe it's not so strange. I assume that that aquifer that holds that water isn't like a perfect square. It may be a triangle. What, did that make any difference?
Yes,
Are
sir.
our wells on where the deep end of the aquifer, or on the shallow end of the aquifer?
Well, the well field is about 8 or 9 miles. Well, let's see. Well, that's probably, let's say about 7 miles long. So we're seeing quite a variation even in the wells. One of the first wells we completed furthest to the west, its total depth is about 3,000 feet. The water-bearing formation is from 3,000 to about 2,600 feet below surface. The next pilot hole we completed, which is just 1 mile to the east, the water-bearing formation has already risen about 100 feet. So generally the water-bearing formation, the wells are getting shallower as you go to the east. There is a fault in the well field, kind of towards the eastern third, where there's a shift in the water-bearing formation. So we're trying to, and as you go further to the north, one of the reasons we did not expand where the triangles are, the water does get deeper. The aquifer dips down deeper.
Because it seems to me if the aquifer ever starts to dry up, it would make a huge difference as to where our wells are. So, and
Right.
our ability
Right.
to access water. I don't know what our agreement states, and really not important, but it just occurred to me. I think we'd want to be on the deep end rather than on the shallow end.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Other questions?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Kevin,
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have presentation and update of the San Angelo Regional Airport renovation project. Come on down, Lou.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Luis
Morning.
Elguizabal, your airport director. Just want to go briefly over the terminal renovation. I know it's been a long time coming. Currently, we've charged 98% of the time to Templeton Construction. We stopped time in December 12th due to the change order that was submitted to the FAA, and we're still pending resolution on that change order. As far as the budget is concerned, we've paid $3.5 million out of the $5.9 original contract, 63% of the budget. As far as the Development Corporation funds, We paid out $207,000. We still have $293,000 remaining. Here's a picture of the January 2012 terminal. The outside, this is the picture taken yesterday. So you can see the canopies to the north are being constructed. Ultimate view for the outside. On the interior, this is the January 2012 picture. This is what it looked like yesterday. Phase 1 has been completed and we've moved into our new offices on the south side of the terminal. And the ultimate completion. This is a view from the concourse as you're going down the stairs. The exit lane is now open. And the meeting and greeting area is open. This is a view from the opposite side looking east. Again, the exit lane, TSA to the left, and the meet and greet area on the right. That's it for pictures and report on the terminal construction. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
With the exterior, I mean, I guess, you mentioned that you're waiting on FAA approval on that, on your last change order. Is there anything we can do to help expedite that?
Well, I just met with the FAA. My engineer and I went to the FAA on Monday. We failed, apparently a new change. Personnel has changed in the FAA, and one step that is being instituted that has never been instituted to any airport on the PFC application amendments was a 30-day notification. We gave 30 days notification to the public and to the airlines, but we failed to give an additional 30 days for the airlines to respond to us. Because of that, the amendment is being restarted. So we have to give another 30 days to the public, another 60 days to the airlines. So we're looking 60 to 90 days to get that approved.
Wow.
Before I even take it to City Council.
Okay.
We can probably do something with COSA DC, a line of credit. We will have that money in 90 days, but the project will be stopped for 90 days. I just don't want to take it to City Council
Sure.
with yes, you're going to receive that money in 90 days from the FAA.
I'm ready to see it get done.
Me too.
I'm sure you are too. It's going to be beautiful, but I mean, this is.
Mr. President, can I ask
Sure.
staff a question? So are you saying that if we're able to help you, assist you with the line of credit, that will restart the work to help expedite the construction?
If I have a line of credit so I can take it to City Council with the change order to City Council with the possibility of getting some payment. I don't think I'll use any money from COSA DC, but a line of credit to pay if needed. I can refund that money if ever used from COSA DC from the FAA as soon as I get those funds.
How much are we talking?
The eligible amount is $185,000. The total change order is $270, but we had allocated the other funds.
So that'd be, if the board desires, that would be something we could put on the next agenda.
Let's put it on the next agenda and we can talk about it more and more thoroughly, yeah. And maybe that we can help Lou.
Again, I'm expecting funding anywhere from 60 to 90 days. I just have to restart the amendment process, the public.
Okay.
At our next meeting, Lou may have a little clearer direction at that point too, so maybe, we can have it as an agenda item next time, yeah. Good.
Cool.
I'll be happy to follow up with you.
Great.
Thank you. Any
Thanks.
other questions?
I'll hold mine until that meeting.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, Lou. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, I believe that concludes our regular agenda items. We do have an executive session, correct? Okay, all right. We will now move to executive session. Executive session under the provision of Texas Government Code Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that meetings be open under the following Section 551.087 to discuss and offer a financial or other incentive to a company or companies with whom the City of San Angelo Development Corporation is conducting economic development negotiations and which the City of San Angelo Development Corporation seeks to have, locate, or stay to expand in San Angelo. And Section 551.072 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, or lease of value of real property. It is now 9:07. We are in executive session. It is 9:40. We are out of executive session with nothing to report. We will move to follow-up and admin items. Any announcements? Anything you guys would like to see on a future agenda?
Not at this time.
I think we had a couple of comments during regular session, or the regular meeting, with in regards to the airport. Have that looked at.
Well, and projects that maybe there's funds associated with,
Right.
tied to, that
Maybe they can fall off.
maybe they could fall off after reviewing the contract.
Anything
They're
else?
the only two I recall.
Okay. All right. I need that final motion. Oh,
Updates by staff, if that's okay.
sure.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
you got updates.
It's on the agenda? Just want to make sure.
You got
Number
announcements,
11.
Okay, cool.
updates, and future agenda items.
They want legal to
Yeah, we don't want Dan over
give
there.
me a point of order here.
Dan, throw something at me. You got a pen or something over there, Dan? Throw it.
So I guess the first update is, as I stated earlier, we are moving forward with the priority goals, and one of them is to try to create some efficiency and restore or just follow some of the bylaw guidelines. And obviously, we talked about city clerk. She's been very, very helpful making sure that our agenda meets the criteria that's needed, including how it's worded and so forth. And so I want to point that out, that she's here today, and I want to thank her for just being willing to serve and take her new role on with us. So thank you, Alicia. Next thing I want to mention is at the last city council meeting, you may or may not be aware, but I'm just bringing this out as an FYI item. We had a city council member that has asked for the street maintenance sales tax to be posted as I'm not sure if it's an item of discussion or if it's scheduled for a referendum in November. I just want to bring that in case you were not aware. I want to make you aware that that is out there. I'll report to you as soon as I know more information. I think we're going to be discussing with that council member what needs to be placed on the agenda to follow up on that, and I'll keep you abreast of that. Item number 2 that I want to talk about is we did mention that the BRC meetings that we host, we've transitioned those meetings to partner meetings, just like we talked about in the board work session, so that we can talk about hot topics, talk about the status of the strategic plan, and I received some input from our last meeting that we talk about issues that we need to work on, and I think that's going to work very nicely. I've asked our partners if we can make some additions to the partner meeting. In fact, I'm going to invite the governor's office and the Texas Department of Ag, both who have a representative here in San Angelo, and the State Controller of Public Accounts also, to participate in these meetings, because I think that helps solidify a better team, and I think we can look forward to some good discussions and some synergies. The industrial park, we have been exploring the site certification for that park. That would mean a designation that makes the site site ready. Goes through a criteria that makes it site ready, so that when site selectors are looking at potential industrial sites, they have a short list that has already gone through some form of certification or accreditation or designation. That is the trend that is occurring throughout the nation. I mean, projects are moving much more quickly, and communities really need to be ready, and the sites need to be ready for development. Sites need to be available for sale or lease and have those terms in place. And so it's going to be a rigorous, and it's something that we're looking to try to seek. I'm not sure if we'll be able to accomplish that, but if nothing else, the exercise will help better prepare us. And I do want to look into perhaps a master plan for the development of that project in the future. We will have some infrastructure needs out there, and I'm going to let Bob talk about one most recent case that talks about infrastructure. That's all I have. Do you have any questions for
Now,
me?
would this put us on some sort of like pre-approved list, if you will, of sites when companies are looking for sites of industrial sites?
Yeah, this certification is actually through McCollum Sweeney, which is one of the larger site selectors. Getting our park on their list would be a real plus of anybody looking at us.
So,
and
well,
looking for
that
potential
sounds
locations.
awesome to me. I've never heard of it before, but is so. What are our chances? I guess best way to put it.
We submitted the original application. They reviewed it, and they've moved us to. There's three phases of evaluation. They've moved us to the second phase.
Okay, well, good, cool.
Question for staff. We had talked about housing, possibility of using housing out at the business park or in the vicinity. With the recent media activity or surrounding the one west of town, is that something we're still looking at, possibility of seeing if the business park has any viability for temporary housing for activity taking place around the area?
Is that the desire of the board? Do you want to pursue that?
I don't know if it's a desire of the board. It was something we had talked about before, looking at whether that was, even a viable option. And we never did really get that far, to my knowledge.
Bob, can you shed some light on?
It's something we've looked at. We've not been approached by anyone asking any questions about that lately. It's something we can bring back as an agenda item, though, and I think I'd like to get another presentation maybe to the board with possibly some of the folks that would operate that kind of a housing.
It was
project.
just a question, because we talked about it in the past. So.
I know I went to Mertzen yesterday, and I noticed that there's a new trailer park they got put in out there right by 12 Mile, and that thing looks like it's already full.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It hadn't been a month. That thing's full.
The one out on Arden Road is half complete. There's more to be done out there. That's just outside the city limits. We were talking about, having somebody look at the possibility of putting that in, operating it, doing the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. We would structure an agreement. Anyway, it's just something I think we need to look at with activity. It's obviously here.
Okay.
So it may help us, to do some things in the future that we're even unaware of right now.
Okay. Well, we can explore that and bring it
It
back
doesn't have
to
to
the board.
be, I think we would be remiss if we didn't at least explore it.
Okay. Very well.
Others? Tony? All right. How about that motion now?
Hold it.
Too late.
Stand down.
We're not fast enough.
We got to move fast.
But by way of an update, we have one more item. Case Hole Solutions out at the industrial park, and I'm sorry, this is a little difficult to read. I just put it together this morning. We found out recently that the industrial park does not have three-phase power, which is something that we all along had thought that we had out there. It's available, but it's on the perimeters of the park in the form of overhead. None of the underground that was put in is three-phase, and it is the only underground out there is for street lighting. It's single-phase for street lighting specifically. So we're going to be bringing back an item for board discussion, but K-Sol Solutions needs three-phase power. When they purchased the property, were sort of under the impression that it was going to be available to them. So we're looking at options now to make that available to them, and it looks like there's going to be a cost associated with that, somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000. And we're going to be talking with AEP as well to see if we can maybe share in that cost, and then do look at also a master plan for providing three-phase to the rest of the park. So we'll bring that back as a separate item.
Okay.
Bob,
Next.
can you update on the enterprise zone?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's also an annual report that we need to do, that we do for the state, that basically gives a report on the enterprise zone. I'm currently working on that. We're not sure who put the last one together, and I'm having a little trouble figuring out where some of the numbers came from. There's some financial reporting that goes with that. Morgan Chegwin and I are going to be getting together on that. We tried to do that last week, but our schedules just we couldn't match up. So we're going to be looking at getting together hopefully sometime this week to see if we can figure out where some of the numbers came from, and then put that report together and get it submitted.
Cool. All right. Fiscal year 2014 budget. That's what it says.
That's just in there in case anybody wants to see it.
Oh, okay.
I will make the motion that we adjourn.
Ooh.
Second.
Oh, I got a motion to adjourn and a second. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.